And this is Kevin on K4CO. Thank you for joining us. We are breaking in with a very special guest today, Levia Hartman, author of her own courageous story, Crown Up. Thank you, Levia, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Your book tells us so much about your young life and has everything to do with you as a person today. Before we get into the book, which I read and was very impressed with, tell us a little bit about yourself and what led to you writing your story.
Yeah, thank you. So, my name is Levia Hartman, and I'm originally from Liberia, and I've been living in America, oh my gosh, for like forever. And so basically, what I do is I do public speaking, as well, telling my story, to try to inspire, other people.
Just with journeys similar to yours?
Yes.
Excellent. It starts with your childhood in West Africa.
Yes.
And I'm going to try not to give away too much of the book during this interview, as much as I want to, because it is that great, but I do want people to read it. Your mom and your dad split up pretty early, and your mom's just started moving you around, you and your sister and your little brother. How many relatives, friends of family did you live with? I mean, jumping around West Africa.
Oh, that's a great question. For me, it's very hard to keep track because I moved a lot at a very young age. So, like, I'm going to say maybe 3 in Africa. And then when I moved here to America, I also moved around a lot too.
Right. And that couldn't be easy at such a young age.
Yeah.
And your mom, in her efforts to bring you and your sister to America, was it more about getting you here or getting all 3 of you here? Was it as much for her as it was for you, or was her concern mainly getting you guys to America?
Her main concern was me.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I was the bread of the family, and she wanted me to come to America, and obviously to take care of the family. So, yeah, it was mostly me.
Yeah. And coming here wasn't what you thought, was it?
So, it was not.
It wasn't the big shiny package that's advertised outside of this country.
Right.
Now that you are in America, it's not necessarily what you thought. It's hard enough for Americans to make it here, let alone an immigrant. And then you run into caseworkers fitting in at school. You're just a fish out of water at such a young age. How did you navigate through all of that at such a young age?
For me, it was all about survival.
Right.
I had a mindset, that it's me against the world. I had to survive on my own, and there's nobody else I can count on but myself. And so I just had to have a lot of faith, believing, there's something greater out there.
Right. You just had faith. You have very strong faith.
Yes, sir. Yes.
And then as far as you mentioned all the families you lived with in Africa, now you've made it to America, and the same thing. You're just bouncing around from foster family to foster family, trying to find one that's conducive, one that you fit in with. You were constantly adjusting to an unpredictable situation, and survival was you just kept getting up. It's very impressive.
Yep.
We're going to get to the book. We'll take a quick break. We take little quick song breaks here during our interviews, just so it keeps us a little relaxed. Jelly Roll with Need a Favor, and who doesn't need a favor these days? We are back with a special guest, Levia Hartman, who wrote her own story, Crown Up, and it's a very uplifting, inspirational, courageous book. You wrote this with so much openness and honesty. I admire that so much. We were talking about your journey to America and just bouncing around at relatives' homes in Africa. Your mother wasn't always suited to take care of the kids, but did what she could. You finally make it to America, and you're bouncing around again. Long story short, when things do finally get settled, I got to this point of the book, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You were present for the shooting at the New Life Church on December 9th, 2007. when you finally meet and settle in with a foster family, things are kind of calming down and getting normal for you. And this happens. Unbelievable. Welcome to America.
Thank you.
Tell us, my gosh, just your mind, how you navigated through that, how you absorbed something like that after something already so traumatic.
It took, as I mentioned before, it took a lot of faith and just a lot of therapy. So yeah, when that happened, I saw a therapist. We had to, talk through my trauma. It's like, not again, this is happening, moving from a civil war to America, and then like another shooting. It's like the whole thing just like, so yeah.
It was just one more thing.
One more thing,
for
yes.
you.
Yep.
Oh, that's incredible. I don't want to reveal too much about your book because I want people to read it, but one particular part hit home for me, and without getting into too specific, how you wrote about it is what impressed me. Something you overcame, and we're talking about your faith. There was a period in your life where you were questioning your faith at a certain point, referring to a situation that you did overcome as a fever that comes and goes. Another traumatic, something that happened to you. Do you still get that fever every now and then? Does it ever go away?
That's a great question. Unfortunately, yes, it does every once in a while. And I had to keep, remind myself, be like, you come this far. And, you had to let it go. Let it go.
Yeah, that's true. Easier said than done, of course. And I'm sure, a lot of that therapy. You mentioned somebody in your life, a mentor. Was it a caseworker? Was it they were going to show up with you today, but they weren't able to make it.
So yeah, that person, they work, they're a nonprofit organization, and so I work with them, I volunteer with them, and they were supposed to join me, but unfortunately they have a meeting, so they couldn't.
No, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just know that they're a big part of your life. It
Yes.
inspired you, so that's interesting. Maybe next time when we do this, we can bring her. Back to that situation as far as the fever. What did you learn about yourself through this particular time when you were questioning your faith?
Yeah, what I learned is there's a quote. It's your circumstances is not defined by you. So you are not your circumstances. And every time, I go through like a situation, I have to remind myself, like in spite of everything, your environment, you are the flower, you have to adapt and grow. And so that's kind of the mindset that I have now. And every time, again, I had that situation, just pick up my Bible, read my Bible, the word, remind me who I am. And that's how I go through life.
Just brings yourself back to yourself. You've come through so many challenges. You become independent at 18, 19. You're going to college. You have your own place with a roommate.
Yep.
You run into your mother after 3 years at a bus station.
Yep.
Tell us, you take her in, and everything just starts happening again. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I remember, it was very difficult. It was my friend's birthday, and at that time I don't drive, obviously. So we were, at a bus stop, doing our own thing, and I just saw her out from the corner of my eye, and she just passed by. I'm like, hold on, who is that, Mom? And she goes, yeah. And so when I ran to her, I said, okay, she looks so fragile, because she'd been homeless for a while. So my heart, I wanted to take care of her because I always want to please her, So that's why I took her in. But obviously, I was not supposed to because, living in a home, I was supposed, follow the rules. But because
the
she came
ILP.
Yeah.
Tell us what the ILP is.
It's like independent living.
Program.
Program,
or something,
yes.
Right.
something like that.
Essentially a place for immigrants that are becoming dependent on themselves and contributing, have a place, an opportunity to live and live independently. You take your mother in. After finding her on the street, you feed her, you let her sleep over.
Yep.
The ILP kicks you out for this. The rules are you can't have anybody stay over if they're not involved in the ILP. This had to be just devastating. Like back out on the street, back into another foster home, another... Did you feel just square one again?
Yes, I did. And when that happened, it was like I had to take responsibility for myself because I knew the rules. I'm supposed to be the good girl, but it's like it's my mom. She's my family, and I realized, she will never change. She's the same person that will always play with my emotion, and everything's like it's your fault. I brought you here. You are a disappointment. So when that happened, I was like, I'm used to it, so it's just another home, whatever.
Right.
So, yeah.
But essentially what you're used to was just her mental health deteriorating, which is kind of sad, becoming helpless. And America, ironically, wasn't necessarily a good move for her.
It wasn't.
Yeah, just as far as adjusting and I can see that mental health is a big issue here in America and how we handle it. Anyway, well, let's take another quick break. I got a few more questions for you. And we are joined with a special guest, author Levia Hartman, author of her own story, Crown Up. It's not the easiest story to read, but it is very easy to read by how well you write it. You write it as if you're just telling somebody the story. You write like you speak. We went through a lot of trauma there. There is a happy ending. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. Things do settle again for you. You become independent. You get a job. You meet your husband.
Yep.
Life is moving right along, and then bam, COVID hits. And you get COVID. Why wouldn't, of all people, why wouldn't you get COVID, right?
I know, right? Because I'm so special.
How did you get it severely? Did your husband get it as well? Was that just a piece of cake after everything else?
You know what? I was so blessed. It was a piece of cake.
No, sure.
Mine was like more like, like a fruit, or maybe like a little cold. But yeah, I got over it very quickly. So
yeah, that's good. And you were able to work from home.
Oh yeah.
And your husband was too.
No, he does not work from home.
Oh, but his job was essential though.
Yes.
That's right. Okay, that's good. So you guys made it through it.
Yep. And
you are South Denver. Your area is around Colorado Springs, yes?
Yes.
And that's where you first moved to when you moved to America?
Yes.
Has that been your sole home since Africa, other than bouncing around the foster homes and whatnot? Again, I want to say how much an inspirational story it was. Well written, but not the easiest story, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. How was it emotionally writing this for you? Did it take time to sit down and do this?
So writing this book, I found myself like healing and peace, because it's out of my chest. It's not something I had to hide.
Right.
It was originally a journal, so it was already running down, and I just turned into a book. So the process was quite smooth, I should say.
And cathartic. So, exactly. So the timing was right to write this book.
Yes.
Did you learn more about yourself after you finished it?
Yes, I did.
The whole process.
Yeah, because I was like, man, I'm stronger than I thought. Like, nobody can tell my story other than me. And so that's one thing I learned about myself. I'm stronger, better than ever.
And you mentioned you tell your story publicly. Who do you do this for? Just on your own? Is this your own project, or is it with a nonprofit kind of thing? Or?
Oh, this is for myself. Yeah, I wrote the story by myself, and again, this is just to inspire other people that may be struggling with things like me.
And what sort of events do you speak at? Who do you speak to? Children, adults, or just pretty much everyone?
Yeah, adults. Yeah.
More adults.
Yeah.
Helping others just comes naturally to you, right? Other than that passion, what are some other passions of yours? Just hobbies, interests?
Yes, I love.
Fun.
Thank you. I love to travel, and so when I met my husband, we actually go to like different states for our anniversary. For example, we went to Florida like this year for our anniversary. So yeah, I love to travel. Listen to music, obviously.
Yes, you just keep moving, doll. I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
It's in your blood. How long have you guys been married?
We've been married for 3 years. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you also write a little poetry. There's a couple poems in your book. I'm assuming just more material from your journal. Any plans for another book?
Well, that's a secret. I had to find out. Right now, no. But I will, if something comes out, I will write it down.
It's all, I mean, you're still such a young life. You still have so much life to live, so maybe
Right.
that build up a little bit for the next one. Again, we are here with Levia Hartman, author of Crown Up. Thank you so much for being here. I want to make sure we covered all the bases. Where can we find your book?
Yes, this book, you can find it on Barnes & Nobles, Amazon, and my website at leviahartman.com.
Okay. Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and leviahartman.com. Thank you so much for being here. I'm glad the day finally came. We have been thinking about this for a month now. Finally, really good. Glad to meet you. And come back soon after your next book.
Thank you.
Or we'll just have an interview and catch up on what's new with you.
Thank you.
Levia Hartman, everyone. Crown Up. I highly recommend it. It is very uplifting, inspirational, open, honest, and very courageous. Very impressive, Levia. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I'm going to leave you with one last song because it reminded me Everyday Sunshine from Fishbone.
I love the title.
You're a 90s girl, right? From 1991.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Levia.
Thank you.
Take care.